I'm making this video for the people who are going to be cutting out their fork for the 350 watt motor. I was asked to make a video or do a blog post or something, so once again I've taken my cart apart to make a YouTube video. So if this benefits you, please press the like button. I wanted to give you plenty close-ups so that you can feel like you understand what's going on here. So the sprocket side of the motor, or sorry, of the fork, I cut out from the middle of the fork all the way down on both sides 4 inches. This is 4 inches of cutting. And then I just cut, yeah, so halfway through you can see. And then because the back of this motor is rounded, you can see how it is rounded. You know, here's the top down view, right? It has to fit in here. So after I cut the half out, I ended up having to go into the inside parts of the forks and slowly trimming that away until it fit. So that gives you a little bit of an idea of what's going on here. The fork is holding up perfectly still. I've been really ripping it hard, jumping stuff. It has absolutely zero problems, and I love it. Sorry, this is not the sprocket side of the fork. I'm such a dork. This is the sprocket side because it has the tensioner arm here, which I got rid of, by the way. I've got a little idea for that too. So when I was searching for all this stuff, I wish I had access to see exactly how all of this was. I thought this motor was just going to be a direct bolt-on because based off the PDF on the website, it had the same footprint, and I had measured. I knew the motor would fit because it fit within the dimensions that I had measured for the forks. The problem was that the foot is offset, and so it doesn't line up the same way that the other motor is. So let's see, I think that's about right there. So the motor overhangs a lot, which is why you end up having to cut the forks, which sucks, but it's okay. Just so you know, if you haven't modified anything yet, I would suggest that you just go with the 500 watt motor at 36 volts and overvolt it to 48 or more. Because while I have already done the work and I love it, I don't think that it's worth cutting your forks and going through all that work just to save 30 or 40 bucks on a motor. And going with a 36 volt motor is going to last you a lot longer. It's going to have more torque anyways. This is only a 350 watt motor, and the Alvitech one is 500 watts. So you're going to be getting, it's just going to be able to handle more temperature. So you could probably overvolt that 500 watt motor even more to probably, 72 volts or something crazy easily, and get more speed and torque and power out of it. And I might do that in the future. I'm sorry, I'm not using a tripod today. This is just a quick little video. I don't want to go through all that, but I did want to explain a couple things while I have the motor out and I could talk to you about it. So one thing that I had to do is that once I got this motor up in here, the sprocket that it comes with doesn't work. So if you look at this cutout, I actually cut this much deeper than it was. I took my grinder and just grinded flat until it came further down, so that way I could slide the original sprocket back further, and that still didn't work. So I ended up buying this sprocket. This is linked in the description. This is actually 10 teeth. And so I don't even worry about the Allen screws in it. They're just going to fall right out. So I just put that all the way back there. Now it's going to be a little bit tight, so you could grind the back of this out, but mine is kind of shaved down a little bit at this point, so it just fits in there no problem. And I have the original washer that comes on here, the spacer. I just trimmed that down and I put it over the front here. I've got two different sizes. You can just do one, of course. I originally had this one behind here, but my motor's, the chain doesn't line up quite perfectly, so I'm moving the sprocket back a little bit to where the chain will line up better. And the only reason I'm using this tiny one here is because if I use the thicker one, there's the tiniest little bit of shaft sticking out still, and I don't think the bolt is going to actually tighten this down. So I'm putting this in here like this. And then of course these motor bolts are threaded backwards. What I do is I put a cloth over this and grab it with some vice grips with these just over there like that, and then I use a socket to turn it and straighten it up. One of the other things I did is I actually ground down my sprocket side washer, because as this motor sits in here, it's further to the left than I thought it was going to be. So that means the sprocket is shifted to the left, because that's how these feet line up with that hole. The sprocket was shifted to the left a little bit. And so in order to shift the entire hub left, all you have to do is grind down the left spacer a bit, and I'll show you the difference in size. Let me get my caliper here. So the stock spacer, see if I can get it in there with one hand. Come on, bro. Do it. That is right at 9/10 of an inch. If you look right there, 9/10 of an inch. And so the one I ground mine down, and you can experiment, just do a little bit at a time, because if you grind the whole thing down and you went too far, then you're kind of screwed. You'll have to find something else. So this is 7/10 of an inch. I grinded that down too, and it works just fine. This is the grinder I used. Cheap little Harbor Freight Chicago electric grinder, 3-inch cutting wheel, and let's see what else. I think that's about it, really. It's really not that hard. You just have to be patient. Put a mask on, because you don't want to be breathing in those metal particles. And once those go in your lungs, they're probably never going to come out. And I hope this helps. I don't know what else to say. I do love this motor a lot, but I'm also looking forward to upgrading to the Flipsky 7070 brushless motor and really seeing what we can do with that. But I get a lot of people asking me lately questions about 36 volt controllers, 48 volt batteries, and all that. And contrary to my very first video, because I understand a lot more of it now, you don't just want to overvolt a 24 volt motor so that it can spin at twice the speed. Having a 48 volt motor with a lot of torque at 48 volts is actually going to be better, because the motor is designed for that power at that voltage. So you're not going to overheat the motor nearly as quickly. Although, to be honest, I'm not having any problems temperature-wise on this motor. It's pulling me to 26 miles an hour, no problem, with any set of batteries I put on it. So, I don't know, I'm just rambling now at this point, hoping that you can understand everything I'm showing you. So if you have any questions, as usual, leave them in the comments. And I guess that's it. Have a good one.